Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Dan United. But first, as always, yes, good evening. Again, cameras all over the place tonight. Electrics still haven't been done at the house, but you know what, we still move on. But looking forward to tonight. We've obviously had a lot of transfer news over the past, Christ, it feels like a millennium. But tonight's the night where we put them into rankings and we establish who is going to come and who is essentially paper talk. Now, I am joined by Tezski tonight. Had to get him back. The guy is a legend. Tezski, thank you very much for coming back in, mate. How you doing?
No problem. Thanks for having me. And all good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, mate. As I say, apart from the electrics in the house blowing, I've got one four socket that's sort of running the whole house at the moment. Well, downstairs anyway. So I'm sort of having to move everything about. But yeah, it's all good, mate. It's all good.
Good.
Mate, I touch on it quickly before we go into the transfer rankings. Monday night, shocking. What was your thoughts on it?
So I think there's been a pattern in the recent months since Carrick has been in charge. I think the longer United have gaps between games, we just really become lethargic. I think the team lacks rhythm. I think some of the players have said, they need to be playing at least week to week. And, there's been like an 11-day break, a 12-day break, and then the last one was 24 days. So it was quite difficult. Especially after an international break, most teams typically find it difficult. But yeah, we were just slow, sluggish, bit all over the place. Just really poor, just shell-shocked, almost as if, the players came out as if it was a testimonial or some kind of friendly game. And credit to Leeds because they took the ball by the horns and it could have been 3-0 really, maybe even more. But yeah, it's just really poor. Second half was a bit better, but I mean the red card didn't help, so it was just shambles everywhere, really. But yeah.
Don't mention the red card, mate. There's still a few angry people there with that one. It was crazy because on the night I was like, "You absolute idiot, Martinez! You know what you've done." And then when I watched it back, I thought, "Christ, I think we're in a bit of trouble here if that's a red card, especially when you see what else is out there." But it's frustrating because I'm still of the belief 2 wins and we get Champions League. I just think obviously we've extended it now, but I think if we can beat these on Saturday, Chelsea, and then we obviously have Brentford at home. I think if we beat them too, I think we're okay. But it's going to be a whirlwind. But look, tonight if I was to put every player United have been linked with, I don't think we'd have enough room on the screen. So what we've done is asked Tezski to give me some of his players he wants to talk about. I've put a few players on there that we've been looking at, and this, if I put it on here, this is what it should look like. So we've got the players at the bottom. We'll pick them one by one. Essentially, we've got A, B, C, D, and of course, no chance. And big up the chat as well. Make sure you smash a like and make sure you put some comments in. We'll be looking for your opinions on this just as much as what we're saying. So the first one I think I want to go about, Tez, to be honest, is, and it's this one was rumbling on last summer, and it's this man here, Carlos Baleba. So Carlos Baleba. We know Manchester United were linked with him. We know that there's been a long-standing interest in him. Brighton wanted a lot of money for him last summer, which was ultimately what put us off going for him. Now, look, the lad's got talent. You don't become a bad footballer overnight. I think early season especially, I think the guy was hurting, and I think you could see he was I think he absolutely wanted the move to Manchester United. Form's been out the window a little bit. He's played decent in some games. I mean, like I talk sometimes like he's forgotten how to kick a football, but there is form in there every now and then. Where do you sit with the Baleba transfer and signing, and sort of where do you put it in the rankings of A, B, C, D, or no chance?
So in terms of him as a player in general, I think he's still 21, 22 years of age. So there's a lot of potential and upside. I think in terms of what you're saying, I agree. I do think once United kind of were in his ear and his camp, I kind of said, you know what, there might be a move. He probably did get a bit distracted. I think this season, even though that might be in the back of his mind, I think it's just a general thing of a young midfielder who's played only one season in the Premier League, who's adapting because now players and opposition fans know what he can do, so he doesn't get as much time, or they try and pounce on him when he's not concentrating or not looking. I've seen him in a couple of games. He has been hooked at halftime, or he's been hooked early. I think the one thing that stands out, obviously, is his ability to cover ground, his running, his dribbling, his carrying, and that is kind of gold dust, especially in the Premier League. I think he does have some weaknesses in other parts of his game, but again, it's rare that he's a left-footed midfielder as well. There's not that many. So you kind of add all those pros against the cons and think he's only 21, 22. The issue is if he was to come up to United, the transfer fee that Brighton would want will then change the perspective of where he probably is currently. So
correct.
He'll probably come in at United and people will think, oh yeah, 80 million we spent on him. Let's just say if that's the figure, everyone was going to start thinking of him as this big 80 million pound player. But realistically, it's more so because he's a young player and he's shown potential. I'll probably put it in. So A is like the most likely, is it? And then...
Yeah. Let's bring that trusty tier list up now. So, So A, we think that's where United are going to go. We think we can absolutely get him. B, we could get him. It's looking positive. C, we're unsure. D, we're not really thinking it's going to happen. And then of course, no chance. Not a prayer.
Yeah, I would actually go B.
I was thinking B as well. I was thinking B. I think.
Oh, go on.
No, go on, mate. Go on.
No, I was going to say, yeah. You go, give your point, and then I'll go.
Yeah, I think my only concern with Baleba is, look, as I said, the potential's there. We know what he's like as a ball carrying midfielder. We know he's strong. We know that he's still growing into his body as well. Let's be honest. I mean, and he's still adapting to the game. He's still learning. He's still learning what his role is in the team. And when he comes to, if he was to come to Manchester United, his role would change slightly anyway to what it was at Brighton. I think United have a massive interest. I think they still look at him. I think when you've got the likes of Wilcox in the background, who has openly stated, look, this is the sort of player we like. I would agree that it's a B. I mean, straight away, some of the guys in the chat, and good evening, everyone. Good to see you. Carl, good to see you, mate. And Steve-O, good to see you. Gaza, good to see you. I hope you're doing fantastic. Gaza says, I don't want him. I'm not a believer. Carl says, I rate him as an A because the player wants to move so much. And that's the thing. I think the player genuinely does want the move. He wants Manchester United. My concern with this is he's shown that he can kick, sort of struggle with the attention on him, and it's shown in his performances. It might be, like you said, a case of the fact that he's just a young player. It was his first full season last season. Now he's had that second season. Now we're sort of seeing him trying to adapt and people know what to do with him. But my concern would be if he comes to United and he's a stormer and has 4 really good seasons. And we know, by the way, that Manchester United are a team now that would rather buy players with a resale value. I just worry what would happen if he was fantastic and then a Real Madrid comes in. And Real Madrid, as we know, for any player, well, most players on the planet, as soon as Real Madrid come, they want that move. And they've enticed some of the world's best, Zidane, Beckham, Mbappe, Figo, of course, from Barca. They've enticed the world's best, Kaká, for Christ's sake. So my concern would be what would happen if a bigger club, and I will say it because we're not in that part of our journey at the moment, were to come and snap him up. But I think you're right. And chat, where would you put him? Would you put, Giles put him as a yep, the rest D. Okay, let Baleba go to another club. Liverpool have injured players, so let him go there. I put him in a B. I'm with you, Tez. I think put him in a B. I think that's a signing that you could quite easily see happen.
Yeah, I'd agree. And also on top of that, I think Baleba, maybe there's a few other names on here where I might have the same feeling about. I think he's unique in the sense of, I don't think he will be made into what I'm about to say, but some people that I follow on X or Twitter, whatever you call it, saying like he has the potential to probably cover at left back as well. We've seen it so many times of midfielders being put ball back, and it actually adds a dynamic. You see Mateus Nunes and now Man City, you wouldn't even thought he was a midfielder, or you've seen other players. The City have done it with Delph and Zinchenko, etc. So there's that element to it. I think the other bigger element is, even if he does come in, so Simon's saying here, which is leading on to my point, he's saying if Baleba does come in, is he Casemiro's replacement? My answer would be no, because I don't think they are similar in the sense that you can give Baleba all that responsibility to. I know Casemiro hasn't done it that much under Carrick, but he's signed, and most of the time he's played, he's been the deepest midfielder, and he's there to start the attacks and break stuff up. I almost feel like he needs to go sometimes, and someone else needs to sit, and he's kind of a classic two-way midfielder. So, I still think there's value in him, and I think him only being 22, I think there's a lot of upside there. It just depends on the price. Like Philip said there, it does depend on the price.
Yeah, I agree. And everyone has a price now, we know, nowadays. And the thing is, actually, just to close on it, Manchester United have been so bad in the past at overpaying for players, and they're not performing. I think that's where a lot of the fans are. Do we overpay, and then do we end up with a player who does? I think it's a very crossroady sort of situation with him. But look, I mean, the season, time will tell with him. Time will tell. Now, we'll bring up one of your boys, mate. And actually, do you know something? After watching him against Arsenal at the weekend, this boy here, Alex Scott, I was so impressed with him, man. And I was looking at him. There was the feeling of a complete performance in the midfield from him. Another lad who's so young. I think, didn't they get him from Bristol? I think it was Bristol City they got him from, wasn't it? Was it Bristol City?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
The lad's got talent. The lad does have talent, and he's another one that I think is at an age now where he's probably thinking, I want that next big move. I want to push myself on. He's probably going to miss out on the World Cup squad for England. I like him. I really like him now. Reports wise, I'm not sure if we're as high, if he's high up the sort of planning as most midfielders. But when you look at a midfielder that could come in and change, I like him, and I think he brings good values to it. So, what are your thoughts on him?
So I really like him, and I like how he's developed his game, because when he was at Bristol and then he got his move, he had some injuries and he couldn't really settle in the first season and a half that he was at Bournemouth, and he played a bit more as a 10, and now he's kind of got a bit more older, a bit more mature. He's still very young, but he seems to be an all-round midfield, and I think him having that side of his game has probably allowed him to have more suitors in terms of, like, I'm reading here, like Tottenham, Chelsea have been interested recently. I think that'd be a horrible move if he went to Chelsea.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, it's just nonsense. The only thing about United, again, similar to the Baleba thing about the price tag, is, in my mind, I think United need 3 midfielders, and if they don't get 3, they're going to need to get 2 really top ones, and really just trust in Carrington and probably promote 2 from Carrington. But let's just go with the premise to getting 3. If Alex Scott is one of those 3, in my mind, he's the second or the third one. And at 22, just kind of making a name for himself, does he go to a big club where he's getting 15 to 20 starts? He might play 40 games or comps, but he's getting 15 to 20 starts. And I don't know what his idea of his own future is. From the United side of it, I think I like him, but I think there's other targets that I would put before him, because I think Scott's good, but when I watch him, I do think, does he have enough personality? Because I think about, when you play midfield for United or a big club, it's not about your talent. It's like, when the chips are down, are you going to be the one to say, no, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball? And that's one thing that, like, I can praise Casemiro, Maino. Apart from Casemiro's little 6, 7, 8 months that he had a blip, Casemiro, Maino, and Bruno in the main in the last 3, 4 years, you don't really see their heads drop. They might have bad performances, but they're always getting on the ball and trying to make things happen. So I think with Scott, would he do that? I don't know. It is a big jump. If I had to put him in, I'd probably put him in as a C. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think. Do you know what the funny thing is with Scott as well? And this is always going to happen. And there's a couple more Bournemouth players in this. It's the whole Iraola thing as well, isn't it? It's the whole Iraola link. And I think, look, if Manchester United do go down the route of getting an Iraola in, then I think the links intensify massively. Kind of like we saw with David Moyes when he left Everton. You know, we were linked with Leighton Baines and Fellaini, weren't we, straight away? I think the thing with Scott is as well, like, I actually feel like, obviously his performance was fantastic the weekend. I don't think consistently we've seen what this guy can do at the top. I think he's had flashes, and I think in a team like Bournemouth, you're always going to do that because Bournemouth, you know, fantastically run football club, and they have those little, you know, peaks and troughs where they'll go as high as 6th and then they'll drop as low as sort of 13th. I think the consistency in the players around him may be holding back. I do think for one thing certain here, I don't think he stays at Bournemouth more than 12 months. I think he will end up at another club. I mean, I would probably be going. I'd probably be going at a D with it, Tezski. I'm not sure. I think, especially with what we're saying about who else we're looking at, I think I would ramping it up to a C, maybe B, if we were looking at Iraola coming in. I think you've got that link there, but I would go a D with it. Now, obviously, you're the guest, so I'm gonna let you have your C on this one, and then the next one that we disagree on, I'll take the ranking on that one. So, where is he here? The picture I got of him, mate, he looks about 10 years old. He looks about 10 years old on that one.
I thought it was natural. I was like, what? What link we got?
Certainly wouldn't be getting him on there, although he's already looking like he's regretting his decision massively. Giles says, 1-0 Forest, by the way, 10 man, ported down to 10 men. That's hilarious. Honestly, Wolfie, man, he's not going to. When there's going to be no hiding from him when this, if he gets this. Giles says United should throw everything in, including 5 kitchen sinks. Get Senesi from Bournemouth. He's 28, which does go against him. I don't care. This guy's the best ball-playing defender in England right now. Don't worry, we've got him on the list, and we wouldn't have to throw a kitchen sink at him anyway. He's on as Carl says, he's on a free. And Sky says are after Senense. I don't know. Liverpool, I'm not sure, Tezski.
Apparently, they're the front runners at this moment in time, but I don't really know whether that's just reports or that's actually truth. But Senesi, it's a funny one. I feel like United fans really like Senesi because we really
bring him up. Bring him up.
Bring him
up. We'll go on to him. There he is.
So I think people really like Senesi because United's ability to build up from the back is almost completely non-existent without Lissandro. Like Maguire can do it a bit, but it's nowhere near as the same. Heaven's the only other one, but Heaven doesn't play as much, and he's still young. So I think the idea is like we need another ball playing centre back. For me, I think Senesi's good and he's good on the ball, but like he's not amazing defensively. Like, and I'm not saying we need the best defender, but I don't see Senesi as an upgrade as to what we have. I go, oh yeah, he can do some things, but I would rather United just go and play Aiden Heaven. If you're going to get Senesi for 28, who's probably going to get 150k a week, then you may as well sell Aiden Heaven and try and get 50 million for him, which I don't want to happen, but it's just a bit ridiculous. Sorry, I'm reading that. Someone saying, "Do I have a ghost?" No, my window's open, so the door opens.
Mate, I've seen it a couple of times, and I was thinking, "Hang on, if the lights start flickering, I'm gonna have to send an Uber for you, mate."
No, my window's open, so it's blowing the door, and I know it's sick. I felt the draft. But yeah, so with Senesi, I because he's 28, it'll be a big contract for him. He's going to come in. He's going to want to play. Yes, he can be a rotation, but if you're bringing in Senesi, then I think you have to let one of them go. You can't have Senesi, Lissandro, and Heaven, 3 left-sided centre-backs.
Yeah.
I think you then make a decision. I think the reason why he's been touted so much is because United need a defender and there's no transfer fee. And I think there's better value. So realistically,
I think it's kind of like the who's hip at the moment sort of links, isn't it? And I think he's had another one had a decent season. I kind of look at it, even though he's 28. is he ready to step up to a big club? And in that, you know, I can see someone like a Liverpool signing him on a free transfer. I can see someone like maybe a Chelsea doing it. You know, I can see it, but I can also see this guy going somewhere like these teams. And if you come to United, let's put United in there as well. And I don't think he'd look great. I think he'd actually be found out. And quite like you said there, to be fair, mate, we don't need it. We've got a centre back in heaven that, personally, for me, I think should have been playing a lot more than Yoro has these last few weeks. I said this last night. When I've watched Yoro in place of either Martinez or Harry Maguire, I've never come out of a game and thought he can keep them out of the squad. You know, he can keep them out of the squad here. He's done well. With Heaven, he's not been afforded the chance. And actually, when I watch Heaven play, ball playing, very confident on the ball, likes to come out from the back with it at his feet. I've seen him drop the shoulder on a couple of strikers and take them out of the game and move forwards. I actually think next season is going to be a massive season for him. I think with more football, you'll see him play more. And I genuinely think for his development, United know what they've done there. I think it's been a really good signing for the price we paid for him. And when we talk about sell on, I don't want to ever sell him. I think this kid could go so far. But you're right. You know, in 2 or 3 years' time, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a price tag of 50, 60 million on his head. He's another one as well, Tez, where he's still growing into his body as well.
Yeah.
He's already getting more and more stocky. He's filling out so much. So with Senesi, I would be going on the lines of probably a D. I wouldn't say no chance because, like you said, it's a free transfer, and United, as much as people may think we've got 500-600 million to spend, we haven't. So it would be an economic signing, but I would be more along the lines of D, mate. What about you?
No, I'd agree. I think especially people are saying Liverpool from runners, Chelsea are interested. Chelsea an interesting one because they seem to rotate the defenders quite a bit, and I can see him playing a bit more. Liverpool, obviously, you know, they might be. Well, actually, I was going to say they might be in Europe again. They probably will be in Europe again, so there'll be more football for him to play. Yeah, I would say D. I'd agree.
Let's put him in D. Where have I put him? There he is. Very happy-looking chap. Very happy-looking chap. Okay, then. Right, and so next one we'll come on to. And guys, get your comments in as well. I think Giles just put how many. Sorry, Tez, I've covered your face there. How many minutes has Heaven gotten under Carrick? There was a very eye-opening interview a month or so ago back from Heaven. Under Ruben, Heaven got to play it. Under Carrick, not happening. Well, before I let Tezski come in on it, the reason he's not playing is because he was playing in a back three, so he was always going to get more minutes. I don't think have we seen him much under Carrick? I can't remember him starting many. I don't think he started.
Don't think he started. He came off the bench in one of the games. Can't remember if it was Palace or came off for. I think it was Tottenham. He came off the bench for 10, 15 minutes. But apart from that, no. And also the point there about he started under Amorim. He started under Amorim not just because we had a back three, it's because United started getting injuries. Delict was out, Lissandro was out, so there was no one else to play. So Heaven had to come in. So that wasn't necessarily like, oh, I want to go and start playing this young talented defender. It was like, well, everyone's injured, so I need to do something. But yeah, I do think. I mean, hopefully, you'll play against Chelsea and see if he can cement his position until the end of the season.
I'd love nothing more than to come on and be part of a clean sheet and Carrick go, hang on a minute, this kid's the future. Hopefully he has. My only worry is because he hasn't played much football. I get, they train and everything, but in a real match competition, I just worry that it might be a bit of rustiness there. Now, the next one I want to bring up is because we all know Aston Villa sort of are in financial potential issues this summer. And there's been a lot of talk of this guy potentially on the move, Morgan Rogers. Now, Morgan Rogers is a player for me, I'll be honest, Tez, that does excite me. He really, really does excite me. I think the 2 goals he scored against us earlier in the season were absolutely stunning. Now, he's going to cost a pretty penny. We know that. I mean, this guy, he's straight away, there's the English tax that we all have to deal with as a club dealing, trying to sign any of them. I'd love to see him at United. I think this kid's got raw talent. What I don't like, I don't see it week in, week out enough for the position that we're going to be bringing him into play. Essentially, he would be coming off the left, I believe, Tez. He's not displacing Bruno. Is the money that we're going to potentially have to spend on him? We'll talk about another one we'll have to spend money on later on. Is the money deemed enough for us to go out there and be there? And also, does he not just have his eyes set? I think Chelsea, for some reason, he really wants to go to. So I'd take him because I rate him, and I think his return is quite good. But I'm not over the hill with him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. The Chelsea move is very much so because, Palmer, Delap, Tosin, Lavia, all basically everyone he grew up playing with.
Yeah.
There, and Chelsea have hired half of Man City's ex youth directors and stuff like that. So that is just another thing in itself. Rodgers here. So Simon's saying Rodgers is a perfect fit. See what his price tag is. So I don't actually think he's a perfect fit. I think he's a good player. I think I agree with your sentiments, Dan, in terms of he does excite, but he doesn't do it consistently. And the issue isn't that we want him to do it consistently all the time at United, because we want him to be a collection of many good attackers. The problem is how he plays for me. I think it's very difficult to play Cunha and Rodgers at the same time. I feel like they're very similar, and they want to pick up the ball, run past players, and shoot. They'll do other stuff. Yeah, exactly. They're going to do the same thing. So if you have two players doing something very, very similar, to then play both of them at the same time, I think it becomes difficult. And then on top of that, like you said, Rodgers has played as a 10 a lot, which he won't do at United. So that means then, yes, he is a good ball carrier, but he's not going to he doesn't take his man on. He's not going to stand on the touchline and drop a shoulder, get crosses in when we need that sometimes. He's very much so, I'm going to make space for himself to shoot. So I just think, again, Villa are in financial problems, but they will ask for around £80 million. And I just don't see it. I don't see it.
Gaza says, to be fair, he says Arsenal after Rodgers, but if Arteta is still at Arsenal next season, you'll ruin a guy. I don't know why anybody would want to sign for that manager. I think you only have to look at poor-eyed Gyökeres. He's been known for just get the ball in the box to him, he'll score. And this season, it's just like he's being asked to do something he doesn't want to do. Jarl also says Rodgers is better off the left than Cunha, though. Bruno looks to be leaving, so Cunha will be in the 10 role, which suits him more. My argument to that, and I'll come to you on that, Tez, is it's a simple one with that. Cunha wants to play football, and I think, do you know what, he's done okay this season. He's probably been one of the brighter sparks in some terrible games. Cunha ain't gonna watch us sign Rodgers, say, right, well, I'll sit on the bench and wait for you to one day sell Bruno, because Bruno ain't going anywhere. It wouldn't work. And we can rotate the team, but there's one person that you don't rotate in this team because he doesn't allow it, and that's Bruno. Bruno wants to play every minute of every game. Now, I think it's a sign-in that Manchester United will definitely look at. I think United will go in for, not go in, sorry. I think they'll go and do their due diligence on him. I think they'll maybe ask the question of Villa. I would put this myself at a C, a very low C. The other thing as well, it's the World Cup season. Strange transfers happen in the World Cup, but the one thing I will say is, there's no shortage of suitors after him, is there, Tez? He's pretty much probably got the pick of where he wants to go.
Yeah, I would probably put it as a D, but I can agree with the C just because someone talked about, I think it was Simon before, talking about, or someone mentioned up there before about you could sell Bruno and Tezski and try and get Rodgers. That would be a terrible decision. It just wouldn't go down well, and it's not the thing about why I'm saying Rodgers and Cunha couldn't work, because you've got to think, do you want three players who are similar, who all want to run with the ball and shoot? Bruno gives a bit of variation with his passing and his crossing. I think if you then have too many players who just want the ball to feet and run, opposition are just going to say, okay, we're just going to block the space. What can you do? Rodgers, good player, but I would agree. You can put him in a C.
Okay, next one I wasn't going to add this lad to it, but he has been linked over the last couple of days. And it's this lad, Croupy from Bournemouth. I mean, look, we've been linked with a few Bournemouth players this last couple of weeks. Now, again, a player I watched against Arsenal. I tell you something, Tez. I like this kid. He gets into good positions, and I thought he was older than he was. He's only like 20, 21, isn't he? And he's openly said that he sees himself playing at a higher level. And do you know what? Bournemouth, to be fair, I don't think they'll be annoyed at that. They know what they are, Bournemouth, as a club. They know that they go and find these players, sell them on for the money, and then sort of rebuild. Now, I really like him. I think he's a player that can develop into something very special. And when you look at the fact that we will need another striker, obviously Tezski, I think personally, will be gone. I think he's a different option to Sesko, and I think he's an exciting one. Now, one I haven't put on here because, to be fair, he's not been linked with us at all, which I would love to see him linked, is Brobby. I love Brobby as a foot. I think he's a tenacious little bulldog. But talk to me about Croupy. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like Croupy. So I'll start by saying, when I think of players, I think of where do they fit in the team. I think if you just bring Croupy in, you got a fantastic young player who's really good at ball striking, he'll score goals, really good at movement. But most of the time when he plays behind another striker. Yeah. So I similar to Rodgers, I'm thinking, okay, so you're basically going to assign a second striker who's going to play off another striker. At Bournemouth, they tried him as a 9 sometimes, but they realised that he's better behind another striker. So if you're thinking Bruno is that striker, we haven't had any evidence of Croupy being the leading line and then someone behind him. So if you've got Croupy and you want someone to not be a proper striker, we've already got Cunha and Mbeumo do that. So it's one of them where I think if we're going to sign attackers, we may as well sign players who fit in a specific position. And if we want to use an alternative forward, use Mbeumo and Cunha. More so Cunha. I'm surprised Cunha's been playing on the left as much as he has, and Mbeumo's been the one through the middle. Because I actually think when Cunha's played through the middle, he's looked a bit better.
Hold the ball better, can't he? And he's very good at just taking a player and dragging players out of position as well.
Yeah, and I think that suits him. And Croupy will do that well. But again, it's just difficult. Someone said leave some players for Bournemouth. But I think Bournemouth are kind of run in that way where they know we're going to have some of these players 2-3 years get 200, 300 million over the course of a couple seasons and rebuild again. I think, again, for Croupy, massive jump. I mean, it was Ligue 2 in France where he scored 23 goals, I think it was, or 19 in the league, which he was already signed by Bournemouth, but he was on loan. Then come to Bournemouth. Now he's the youngest teenager to get double figures since whatever, Owen or whoever. And then to go straight to United, that's a leap. I think the next step for him would be, like, for example, to go and play week in, week out, or maybe as much as he is now, but for a Villa, let's say.
Yeah.
You know, Villa playing that way where sometimes they play another forward off another one. Can you get 15 goals for a Villa? And then can you go to a bigger club? But I think he's really talented. I don't think I would put him as a D just because I think United have other pressing concerns, and you're going to probably think 50, 60 million for Croupy, maybe, in and around that. And we've got more pressing concerns. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, mate. I'm absolutely with you. I think I was borderline no chance, to be fair, just because we know how much he would be. But I think like a sort of low end D. I absolutely. It's a strange one with Croupy because I think he's 2 goals off equaling the highest debut season for a young striker. 12 goals, I think it is, isn't it? I think it's Robbie Keane. Who else is it? Robbie Fowler. Yeah. There's players there. Now, when we talk about strikers, I've said this so many times on this channel, and I will stand by it, and I don't care. I'll take the L for saying it, but we're in a summer where we need to sign a lot of players, in certain positions. I would absolutely be asking Danny Welbeck to come back for a season. I really would, because this isn't the season where we can go out there and throw the money down for a striker. Let's go and bring someone in who knows what their role is going to be, can help the youngsters there as well, and can score a goal or two. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see the point in us going out and dropping sort of 50, 60, 70 million on another striker. I think we've already done that with Sesko, and I think they've got a lot of faith in him to be the real deal anyway, haven't they?
Yeah, no, I'd agree. And if Welbeck's contract, I don't know where he signed an extension, but I know it was meant to be running out. He'd come back if we're in Champions League as well.
Yeah.
And it's for the younger players to learn from him as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would.
Surely Brighton couldn't quote us 100 million for Welbeck. I bet those buggers would still quote us like 20, 30 million, wouldn't they? They'd be like, well, you want to sign him?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that would be sensible. If not Welbeck, was someone in that kind of realm.
I agree. Now, we'll bring this boy up. I mean, I'll be honest, the one I'm about to bring up, this is like dream scenario for me. I mean, like, if I don't care about his age, but if there was a hint of this guy saying, you know what, yeah, I want United and, I'm happy to go there and let's get a deal done, and United were serious about doing it, I mean, I'd probably sell Mrs. Robinson to get him there. I joke, of course, but I mean, he's the complete player, isn't he, Tez? And like when you look at what he brings, the experience, you talk about Premier League experience, which seems to be thrown at us all the time as United now. We're looking for Premier League experience, but this guy can do it in the Prem. He can do it in the Champions League. He's done it. He's played very well for Brazil. He's the dream guy, isn't he? I mean, this is like wake up on Christmas morning and then you're unwrapping, you go, oh my God.
Yeah, and sometimes I know fans will say, oh, he's 28 and he'll be 29 in 6 months or whatever. But I think it depends where they play and also how many seasons they've played at the very top level demanding. He's had 4 years at Newcastle, 5 years at Newcastle. So, he hasn't been in the Prem where it's worn him down, and he hasn't. Obviously, he's had a good career and he's played in France and Brazil, but it's not to that level where it's Champions League and like Casemiro played from when he was like 17, top level every single game. It's a little bit different with Bruno Guimaraes, and I think I'm a big fan of him, and I think if you can get him, then pay that, because we also need, I think you need personality, and I feel like he plays like, I don't care what's happening, I'm gonna just try and make things happen. Especially in mid. It's maybe the name. It's in the name. We just need midfielders who are just gonna, like Casemiro, when he's not playing well, he's like, he does stuff extravagant, even though he shouldn't sometimes, but he'll just go, right, I'm just gonna get in the box and put it in there and I'm gonna score for you. And you think that's so priceless. And Bruno Guimaraes, before his injury this season, was doing a little bit of that as well. So I mean, in terms of ranking,
I mean, I don't think there's a chance. I would love him to. I do. I mean, do you know what? If there was a chance, I'd put him A. I'd be like A. No concerns there. I mean, like, to be fair, I mean, Stafford says it here. Like, Newcastle's record without him shows how crucial he is. We don't know if Howe's going to be there next season. I think out of him and Tonali, I think they're more open there. So I think they're more open to a conversation about Tonali. But go on, what are your thoughts?
I think probably no chance, because they know Tonali has kind of alluded to leaving, and his camp know that he might leave, and I think Newcastle will sell one or two players. It came out today saying Anthony Gordon is looking to probably maybe explore the opportunities. So I think they're probably going to say, well, if we lose Gordon and Tonali, definitely not Bruno.
Yeah.
So, probably no chance, which is a shame.
Gaza says there'd be a mutiny. I think you're right. I think imagine a summer where I don't think they'd recover from it if they sold Tonali and Bruno. They'd be absolutely ruined. Where is he? We'll put it, sadly, with regret, we'll put him no chance. With a lot of regret, I would love him. I'd absolutely love him. Okay, then the next one is this boy. This boy is like, I kind of feel like it's what mood the journalists are in. I do think we hold an interest in him. I remember Steve Parish at the start of the season, I think, tried to mock United when he said this, when he said, well, he'll only go to a Champions League club. And I was like, oh, you fucker. But then the season's obviously played out like it is. And Steve-O, it looks like we're going to be a Champions League club, so we need to talk. Now, a lot of people say that there's a lot of similarities with him and Mainu, with the way they play. Wharton is a player for me. I remember the initial buzz of him, and they said, "Oh, well, he's clear of Anderson." Then Anderson did what he was doing and played for England and has been immense, and has kind of, I think, pushed himself way past what Wharton's being looked at the moment. But Wharton, for me, when you talk about us needing 2 or 3 midfielders, I would be very happy with an Adam Wharton being one of those midfielders we brought in the club. I would be. I actually think there's a high chance as well. Like, I do think United. I think there's talk that there's a clause or there's something in there that says about 60 million. I would be interested in bringing in Tez, but at the same time, what I wouldn't want is come the end of the transfer window, it slams shut, and we go, Adam Wharton was our main central midfielder that we bought this season, because I don't think he's the caliber to be the guy to take control of that midfield and push us forwards. And actually, I think a midfield of him and Mainu wouldn't work for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's a funny one. I think people obsess, I'll use that word, about him because of his passing ability. But I think the way people think Wharton plays isn't exactly how he plays. So people will describe him as like this playmaker and someone who's going to dictate tempo. He doesn't dictate tempo. What he does do really well is he keeps things ticking really quickly. So you give him the ball, one touch, second touch, he's passed it. He doesn't dwell on the ball, and he's got amazing passing ability, long, short. And I think if he was in more forward positions, he'd create a few more chances, like he did against Tottenham with that pass with his right foot. But for me, yeah, he doesn't cover ground much, and he plays for one of the least intense teams in the league.
Agree.
With a back five.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's only ever played in the Palace team in the Prem. So I always look at, like, what attributes does the player have, and how do they then translate into a different team? If he played, like, that's why I said the other day, I think he'd be good for Arsenal, because I think if he plays with Rice, he has that kind of coverage, and the way Arsenal play with the defenders behind him. At United, people get on to Maino not being able to move, even though that's not true. Then I think, what are they going to say about Adam Wharton then? But yeah. I do think he's a brilliant player. I think the way he plays, he knows that, I might not be like Anderson, who can bomb up and down and cover, but what I can do is be really clever. As soon as I get the ball, give it a go.
Yeah.
I think Wharton would be a good signing, but it really does depend on the other two, because as you said, Wharton and Maino, you might get away with it when you play at home against a team that's going to sit in a little bit, and he can just knock it around people quickly. Yeah. I don't think you can go and rock up away to Newcastle, to Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal. You can't go Wharton, Maino. That's a recipe for disaster. That'll be like, if you remember when Van Gaal thought it'd be a good idea to play Schweinsteiger and Carrick against Arsenal away, and
or was it Amorim who put
Ericsson and
Casemiro?
Casemiro.
Yeah.
The slowest two midfielders, just because he thinks they can pass it. Yeah, I don't want to see that.
No chance.
But I think I actually might put A.
I'm the same as you, mate. I think there's a world we sign him.
Yeah.
I think that world is if we're told no to Anderson, if Tonali's too expensive, I think there's a world we sign him.
And it's quite weird because he wouldn't necessarily be in my top 3 or 4, but if you get him and get others that complement him and Mainu, you go, that's really good. Whereas maybe in other years where everyone might, if there was less teams in from midfielders, Wharton will probably be top of quite a few teams' list. But because there's lots of midfielders out there and lots of teams looking for different types of players, he's almost going a little bit under the radar. So, yeah, potentially, if the fee's right, I think United still want to get back to that. They haven't shown it as yet, but I still think they have the idea of, like, let's have a few players who are English, British in the spine, and let's build around that. And
kind of like the Arsene Wenger model in the late noughties, wasn't it? He was trying to win the World Cup for England. I think he famously said, with Carl Jenkinson.
Ramsey, Walcott, Jenkinson. Yeah, what a terrible time. Ox.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say A. I would say 1A.
Gaza says, Gaza says he think he could play with Mainu, just his opinion. Shano, big up, mate. Good to see you. Simon says sell Mount and get Wharton. I'd be open with that. I'd be happy with that because Mount doesn't have a position, I think, now. I think now we've gone back to this formation. Samuel says, we'll come to Stiller, don't you worry. He's there. Keith Smith from AZ Alkmaar. There's been a lot with him, actually, to be fair.
Yeah.
No Chelsea melt, so Mount was bad, and def no Spurs melts. He was bragging last night.
Although on the Spurs thing, he's not on here. But if Spurs get relegated, I think Archie Gray, it will be a steal.
Do you?
I think he's quality. I think he's shown a lot more this season as a midfield. I think last season it was unfair because he's got to play centre back and he's playing right back and left back. This season he's played a lot more. And I think he's a lot bigger and physical than people give him the credit for. And I think the good thing about someone like Gray is in games where you want to dominate, you can then play him as a fullback because he's so good on the ball and he can run. And I think if Spurs do go down, which I actually hope they do because it'd be funny.
Oh, mate, it'd be hilarious. Honestly.
I think United were interested in Gray when he was at Leeds. But
I remember,
yeah, the Leeds United thing, he made it complicated. But I think from Spurs, I think that's the only play from Spurs I'd take happily. But yeah, Wharton A, definitely.
I just have this horrible feeling that we're going to look at Romero. As much as I think Atletico Madrid is where he's destined for that place. I just honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if Spurs go down. I mean, I've seen so many YouTubers saying, "Oh, if Spurs go down, all this talent's available." And I'm like, hang on a minute. Apart, there are some injured, I grant that, but a lot of the talent they're talking about got them relegated. I mean, like a lot of the talent they're talking about, they finished 15th last season. I know was it 16th? I think it was 15th or 16th, wasn't it?
17th.
17th it was, wasn't it? So I'm not all for all these Spurs players, but with Archie Gray, I take it because last season he was again another lad who's grown into his body. He has bulk to it.
Yeah.
And the poor lad has to play alongside Gallagher. I mean, that's one thing for me, mate. I think if we'd have kept Amorim, I think we'd have had Gallagher.
Yeah, we would have had Gallagher and Maino would have been on loan.
At Napoli.
And everyone would have been like, why didn't we just play Maino instead?
honestly.
Yeah.
Next one then. We'll go to this one because I think you and I are going to have different opinions on this one. So, Diamonde from Leipzig. Look, this lad has had a fantastic season. He's played predominantly off the right, hasn't he?
Yeah.
A lot this season, but this kid's got so much talent. Like, it's ridiculous how much talent he's got. And ever since we've been interested, I've done my best to watch a couple of games because the thing with me, and you're probably the same. Well, Tez, the way you break down a player, mate, I'm surprised that you're not their agent. Honestly, the way you break him down. But I thought I'm gonna have to watch this kid a bit just to sort of just. I'd never want to be a YouTuber who sits here and goes, "Yeah, I think he's mint. I've seen a couple of clips on YouTube. Looks class." They could put a couple of clips of me on YouTube and make me look semi-decent. But I've watched him and he's exciting. He is exciting. I like his build as well. I think he's built. Do you know what it is with me, Tez? And I'm not gonna. I don't like comparing players, but he reminds me build-wise of a young Ronaldo. Like Ronaldo was gangly, then started to bulk a bit and had that pace. And I look at him and I would absolutely take him in a heartbeat, but I don't want to pay the money that is being banded around. And again, something that I'm learning, because it's my first year on YouTube doing it on my own. I've always appeared on people's channels. And when we get linked to him, I'm like, I get to that selfish, like, well, I don't want to pay that money. I've been here and done that. But at the same time, I mean, if he was available for a decent price, I think United should snap him up. I actually think United are interested as well, by the way. I think United are very interested in this lad. Whether or not it's going to be a record signing if they were to do it. But talk to me about him, Tez.
Yeah, I think the price tag was around 100 million euros, which again is going to be what, 86 million pounds and stuff. I think it's just a massive gamble for someone who, I think his story is maybe 4 years ago? He was playing like American second division or something, and obviously he's had a massive jump. He is talented. The biggest connection there is he plays with Ahmad and the national team. For his national team, he plays on the left, obviously, because Ahmad plays on the right. But as you mentioned, him playing right wing. Do you know who he reminds me of two players, and I don't mean this offensively to whoever's going to put comments to this, but the way he dribbles is a little bit like Wan-Bissaka in the sense of he's really long, gangly. He pushes the ball in front of him. I think Wan-Bissaka got a bad rep because he's actually a decent dribbler.
It was that one thing he did, Tez, wasn't it, when he tried to do the flip back and he almost fell over the ball and like. But other than that, you're right. Like Wan-Bissaka can carry a ball. I mean, like I'm not even joking. If West Ham get relegated, I'm telling them to bang the door down and bring him back.
Yeah, he can't cross, and he was like a bit like iffy at back post defending. But in terms of actual, you give the ball to Wan-Bissaka most times, and he's going to beat someone and go past. And Diamande is a bit similar. I think where that is a little bit difficult to kind of see how it relates to the Prem is because he's playing for Leipzig, so that's not Bayern Munich. And maybe you can say that's a bonus because they don't always have the ball and they don't always have, monopoly of the possession like maybe how Anthony did in Ajax, and everyone was like, well, Man U aren't always going to be in the same dominant position. I do like the fact he can play both sides, and I do like the fact that he does go on the inside and the outside and he likes to shoot. I'm just not keen on the price tag. And also, with that price tag, will the fans allow him a year to settle and then a year to kick on? Because in my mind, whoever you sign, unless they're a bit more established, I don't know whether they start and play regularly. I still think Cunha at this moment, or maybe Dorgu in certain bigger games, might play on the left a bit, and that other left winger is going to learn and then play against certain opposition. But I do like him, but I'm unsure. I don't know. He's got X factor, but I'm just not sure. I'm like, it's Bundesliga, and yes, he's got 10, 12 goals, but it's Bundesliga, and he's 19, and it's not like Sancho. Even though I had the similar kind of reservations over Sancho, because I think Diamande is a little bit more physically robust. I do think, do we give him another year to see if he's the real deal? If he can then do 10, 12 goals in Bundesliga again, then you're thinking, yeah. The only issue is if United don't get him, does someone else try and get him straight away because he's been linked with Liverpool? And then you're like, oh, maybe we should have just got him and tried to nurture him. But I'd actually put him in A because I actually think there is a high possibility, and I think the club has been tracking him for a while. What about you?
The thing as well, though, like you say about the Liverpool links, I kind of think for him personally, it would be the worst thing he could do, because essentially he'd be going there and taking the place of Salah, wouldn't he? I mean, Salah's obviously going. The expectation on that lad would be higher than United, because I genuinely feel like the Liverpool fans would be thinking, okay, we've paid this big bucks for him. This kid now needs to be scoring a sort of 15, 20 goals. And that's where you sink, isn't it? I'm the same as you on this one. I am at an A with him. I'm at an A begrudgingly, because exactly like you, I would much prefer it if, say, he signs a new contract with RB Leipzig and he goes, there's a release clause in there, next season where he can go for 80 million or 85 million. Let's get another season out of him first. The last thing we want is to go and drop 100 M's on him, and then all of a sudden he comes over, scores 4 or 5 goals, and we go, shit, we're stuck now. And at that age, it would kill his confidence, absolutely kill his confidence. So begrudgingly, I will put him at an A, because I like you. I think United have been tracking him for a while. I think with Vivell at United as well. Vivell's got history there as well, of course. He likes to trap these young players. Just a quick one. Shane said we can have Kai Havertz for $1 million. I think we've hired another cleaner, Shane. I don't think we need any cleaners at the stadium. It just shows how much that. I mean, I agree with. I think he's fucking awful. I do. I can see why Shane doesn't want him. And take care of yourself, Gaza. Thanks for coming, mate, as always. Okay, next one then. Next one. Where is he? Let's go with a defender here. And this one come out a few weeks ago. Jared Branthwaite. Now, this kind of goes back to what you were saying before, Tez, when you said about left-sided centre-back, and it's almost the attractive thing in football at the moment. You need a left-footed sided centre-back. You need that. I have major concerns with this player. I know he's highly rated by a lot, but his injury record ain't great. And in the Premier League, another young English lad, Everton are going to want mega bucks for this kid. And I worry that you spend the money on a Branthwaite and then it ends up like a Fofana for Chelsea where he has one injury after another injury, and then you sat there going, hang on a minute. I mean, look, we get ridiculed for what we spent on Harry Maguire, but what you can say about Harry Maguire is he's played a lot of football for Manchester United. He's definitely stepped up when we've needed him to. He was never going to be a defender that can outpace anyone. You need to play to his strengths. But when I look at Branthwaite, it doesn't excite me. But my concern with this is maybe not this season, but I think United are really, really interested in this boy.
Yeah, and again, it just like you just hit everything on the nail on the head with everything there. But I think the issue with I've actually been to Everton a few times this season. I've seen Branthwaite play, and I was specifically looking at Branthwaite, Garner, and Ndiaye because I was like, those are the ones that United are linked with, but also I just like them players as well. And he was shocking on the ball. And I was like, I don't know whether it was one of his first games back after injury, so I don't know his rustiness, but he just couldn't find anyone over 10 yards. And if he did, what he was doing, he was just trying to clip it and knock it long, and he was just giving the ball away. And I was like, oh, maybe what I've seen of him on the TV is different now I'm watching it in person. And I was like, oh, this normally doesn't happen, because normally when I see someone on TV, I stand to see him in person, it's similar. And I just wasn't impressed. But obviously with him, 6'5", 6'6", he's had experience playing in the Champions League. I think he did. Well, he was at PSV with Van Nistelrooy. Funny enough, in that season, he actually did play as a right-sided centre-back, which gave him... Yeah. Which gave him a lot of
Hang on, Tez. This isn't in the report you sent me about him. Hang on a minute. Which page is that?
But yeah, he played right-sided centre-back there, and he actually adapted to it quite well. And I think for someone his size, he's probably a lot more mobile. Like, he doesn't seem as cumbersome as like a Maguire, or he's almost like a fleet-footed Dan Burn, but not as... I think Dan Burn's like a monster when the ball's in the air or ground. I think Dan Burn is like full-blooded. I don't think Branthwaite is that. And I just think if you then sign him, you definitely are saying to heaven, like, it's going to be tough for you to be the guy. Because unless you're happy with a Branthwaite and heaven and go two left-footers, but not many teams do that. So, but again, like you said, I feel like the club has been tracking him since Ten Hag.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. Yeah. I remember we were close apparently at one point as well, weren't we? I think we had put a bid in and they said no. And I was like, but at that point, this was before his injuries. And I was like, yeah, this kid looks decent. This is long before the Heavens and the Euros. And I went, yeah, I could see this. But when I look at the fact we keep mentioning him, I mean, I think people are going to start asking us to check our arms for heaven tattoos and everything. It's just how much we rate this kid. Yeah. I mean, Samuel says Jared Branthwaite is made of glass like Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin. We tried and failed to get Branthwaite. Why bother again? Hincapié would suit you guys so well, but I love him.
Absolutely not Hincapié. No.
Oh God, I'm remiss to say this, Tez, but I would put him at a B. I really would.
I think so too, because I think the club are just. Do you know what I actually think they would probably rather do? Not sign a centre back this summer if they had assurances that Dilic could maybe play a little bit next season. Not sign a centre back and go, okay, Maguire contract done. Maybe get rid of one of Lissandro or Dilic and then bring in Bramford the year after. I think I could see the club doing that.
Yeah.
Because it seems like last season was the attack, this season's midfield, next season's going to be defence.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would be a bit. If he can stay fit, this is where it gets funny, because if he stays fit and he plays really well, his price tag probably goes up.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But if he plays kind of in and out, you probably get him for a decent price, but you take the risk. But I think B is probably right. Yeah.
We're talking ourselves into some bloody signings here, aren't we? Okay, next one. We will go with. This is an intriguing one because didn't really play that well against Bournemouth at the weekend, but he is linked with us, and that's Miles Lewis-Skelly. Now, I remember, to coin the Mika Richards phrase, when he burst onto the scene and everyone was absolutely gassed. Scored in his debut for England. A young, he's still so young. Played so much football for his age, I think, in the Premier League. I think with this, I don't know. I'm torn with this one, Tez, because I don't know if it's so much United's interest or if it's intermediaries coming to United and saying, look, he would be open to coming to you because he's not getting the football there. I don't think he fits in what Arsenal are trying to do. I think he filled a hole and that's why he played so much football. But I don't look at him as a player that Arsenal look at and go, there's our future there. I mean, the one good thing I will say about him is, this lad can play left back, but he's also really good in midfield. That's where he started his career, wasn't it? In the youth side. Yeah. So it's a weird one. I mean, the last time we signed a player from Arsenal, it didn't go very well. That was Sanchez, wasn't it? It went fucking horrible. But there's a lot of youth in this lad, and I don't know. Talk to me on this one, Tez.
Yeah, I think we've never, again, MLS is one of those players that we've never actually seen him play in midfield in the Premier League. So it's really hard to judge because you can see tapes from when he was younger and what he can do. And he reminds me a little bit of Moussa Dembele at Tottenham in terms of how he picks up the ball and drives and you can't get the ball off him. But I also then think, I feel like Maino's a better version of that. And if you're going to have MLS, there'll be times where you play MLS and Maino, and is there enough passing in there? Probably not. With MLS as well, I don't really think I like the idea of him being a left back for United. I think his whole game when he plays at left back is coming into midfield, but he doesn't really have variety. Don't really see him going down the line, putting crosses in. I don't see him taking on a player. So it'll be very much so. Yes, he's really good at holding on the ball carrying and coming into midfield, an extra midfielder, but that slows things down. You see it for England, like whoever's the left winger has to keep the width and really go on the outside. And is he really that good defensively at left back? I remember the Champions League game where he nearly got sent off, where Arsenal won about 9-0, and he had to get subbed because Arteta was like, he's going to get himself sent off here. PSV, was it? And I was like, his temperament for someone who's meant to be a really good player sometimes is a bit, not temperament in the way that the media say, because I think that's just unfair, but I mean temperament on the pitch where I think he tries to do a bit more than he should. And I think, they were touting around 40-50 million, and I just think if you're going to go 40-50 million and play him as a left back, just go and get an actual left back. If you're going to go 40-50 million and play him as a midfielder and he's the third midfielder, then I'd rather look at Alex Scott. You can try and pay that much for him. I do think he's a decent player, but I just don't have any evidence of him playing midfield, and I can't really trust. We need players who we know can play.
Absolutely.
We're not in the position where we can go, oh, he's good and he can kind of do this and kind of do that. I think we just need to go, he's going to play there, because we've got enough players who can kind of do this and that already. I would say no chance. I'd probably say it is intermediate. Is Arsenal, if Arsenal are interested in selling them and they know someone like United wants to buy young English talented players, they're probably putting his name towards us. But how about you?
I'm with you on it. I mean, do you know something? Shane says about him being an absolute boss in midfield, and I spoke to Dan Potts about him. Dan Potts says, as a kid, midfield he was incredible, but he just doesn't play him there. It's very, very rare. I mean, Shane also does make a good point. Like, we sold Heaven for $1 million. We're horrible at selling youngsters. Honestly, you get him for 25 million, no joke. Here's my issue. We know that Luke Shaw is, bless him, at the end. He's at the end. You know, he's the mind is there, but the body is not willing. I would like to see us get a left back that is established, and I really want to see in the preseason. I want to see Harry Amas get a bit of a chance, and I want to see like Diego Leon come in, and we all said, "Oh my God, we got a kid here who could potentially be incredible." Hasn't adapted. There's been concerns at how he's adapted to the English game. He's been found wanting quite a lot, so there is a concern at left back. I think, especially going into Champions League next season and playing more football, I think you do need that sort of option out there. I don't want it to be Luke Shaw. In an ideal world for me, Tez, I would absolutely love Southampton to get promoted so we could have a last, a sort of farewell there, go there and sign there. That's the dream. And it seems to be it might happen because Southampton are in a madness at the moment.
Yeah.
For me, with MLS, I think it's more Arsenal side that he's been linked to us. I've seen that Ben Jacobs come out and said, yeah, United are looking at him, but I think United are looking at 100 players. So where did you say no chance?
I said no chance. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense. The only way it makes sense, I think Shane said 25 mil. If that was the actual price that you could get him for, I think then the club go, oh, well, we've got a young player who can play left back and midfield. Yeah. And even if he plays 15 games in each, he covers 2 holes at once. And then if we need to go and get another player next season to play in one of the positions where he settles in, then I can see it. But I don't think Arsenal go and sell MLS, who I think has like 4 years or something on his contract, to United for 25 mil. I don't see that happening. So. Yeah,
Shane put Lewis Hall there, and I was like, I wanted to put him in, but Lewis Hall is the dream for me. Like, oh my God, he's the Rolls Royce. But again, I don't think there's any chance of Newcastle. Newcastle know what they've got there. They know they've got a left back there that as long as he shows he doesn't want to go anywhere, he's going to hold down that position for the next 10 years. And he's another one that can play in midfield. I mean, Chelsea letting him go, man. Jesus Christ.
Chelsea don't know.
No. I mean, I saw today Caicedo's looking at signing a new contract. I was like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like, what?
2033.
What are you doing with yourself? But I'll because you had the last one. I'm gonna put him in C, and the reason I'm going to put him in C, the only reason I'm doing that, I'll be honest with you, United can do silly things, and I think if the price wasn't ridiculous, I think they would actually look at him. I would put him as a low C. I put him a very, sort of, if I could do it like that, then I would. But I put him at a C. I think there's I just think United will look that way. The next one, to be fair, is Stiller. Now we've spoke about Stiller before when you were on the show last time, so I don't know if we want to go over old ground too much, but Tez, this guy's name doesn't go away, does it? It's not going away. United do seem to have a bit of an interest in him, and there is that. I know Stuttgart can buy out his release clause, I think, if they pay him a certain amount. I personally think that'll happen. I think they'll have to, because the amount of traction he's getting, they'll want decent money for him. He's a very, very good young German talent, I think. Is he German? Yeah, he is German, isn't he?
Yeah, he's German,
Very, very good talent, and I think he's another one that in the midfield, I just worry with him. We go back to the conversations about, sort of the Adam Wharton signing. Would this guy be the same sort of signing as him? Yeah, technically he can whip a ball. We've seen all the news about that. But again, I go back to if I got to the end of the transfer window and Stiller was our only signing, I'd think, shit, we're in trouble here.
Yeah. No, I'd agree, and I think it's interesting the players that we've been linked with, because it seems like it's a lot more strategic and a bit more planned. Because it seems that we want a left-footed midfield and we want a right-footed midfielder, and then the third one can be whatever, because there's no kind of coincidence that Wharton, Stiller, Baleba, Lewis Skelly, there's other names on here that aren't here, but Pape Gueye at Villarreal, another left-footed midfielder. We've also been linked with there's someone else I had on my name. It's gone. But there was another left-footed midfielder. So it's like, okay, they're prioritising someone who can play that side, create angles from that side, someone from the other side, someone who's a passer, maybe someone who's a bit all-round, all-action, and then maybe someone who's a bit more of a ball winner. It's probably the three.
Yeah.
I think because we've got Wharton there, and not just because we've got Wharton there, I think the club would do this as well. They'd say, if we get Wharton, we're not going to get Stiller, because it just doesn't make sense. And if you already feel like your midfield needs energy and legs, you go and sign Wharton and Stiller.
Yeah.
What are you doing, kind of thing?
I agree.
I do think he's a good player. I do think he's quality. I have liked him. I just think, again, a bit similar to the Diamande thing. If Wharton is there for a similar price, do you not go with the player who you've at least had a bit more of an inkling of he can play in the Prem, albeit circumstance and formation different. But yeah, I think. But again, Vivell and
that's what I'm worried about.
The club has been Stiller's name has been there for a couple of years. It's not like a new name.
Yeah.
So I'll probably say, again, if I could do in between B and C, I would, but I'd probably edge towards a C, because I do think there's other midfielders higher, but I'd say C.
I'm completely with you on Stiller. I think, in fact, I would put him, if I just put Scott, I think Scott there, I'd put Stiller there. I think the same as you. I think if it's up to the club, I think B/C. Stiller, I don't fancy spending the whole window on him. I think he'd go to Liverpool knowing that Salah is going. Ekitike is injured, and Shane says he needs to avoid it. Fans can be cruel. He's an exceptional footballer. Okay, next one then. We've not got many left, Tez. I didn't realise how long we've been on for there, mate. Yeah. Sorry, bud. Let's speed these up. Next one's this guy. I mean, look, we spoke about Bruno before, and I'm going to tell you, I've got a little bit of a theory with this guy. I kind of feel like the links we've had with him have been a bit of a smokescreen for Anderson. I kind of feel like we've put this. I mean, of course, I think we want him. I think United want him, of course, but I kind of feel like we've obviously been linked with Anderson from day dot. Since weirdly enough, the last day of the transfer window last summer, I kind of feel like United. I personally think out of Anderson and Tonali are going to get one of them. I think they'll get one of them. I think it's as simple as that. But what I will say is, I mean, Shane's saying Italian El Neni.
That's why I was laughing.
I'm not sure he's that bad. If Tonali joins my club, I'm moving to darts. Jesus Christ. What has this club done to you, Shane? Jesus, man. Look, Tonali is, for me, plan B if we don't get Anderson. I actually think United have the opportunity to sign him. I think Newcastle fans have gone very quiet about this, for the sense that at the start of the conversations, I was being told, no chance, shut up, get out, what are you talking about? And then I think there's been that sort of, actually, I think he might go. He's another one that United and Arsenal are looking at. I like him. I really like him. I think he dictates the tempo when he plays football. He's got a wicked shot on him. We talk about Casemiro brings goals to the club. I think 6 of his is it 6 goals have been assisted by Bruno this season from him. He knows where to get in the box. Now, Tonali,
6,
Tonali isn't the guy that gets in the box and scores headers. I know that, but I think if we don't get an Anderson, I think Tonali, I wouldn't exactly sit here and be kicking myself and saying he's the next El Nani about it. What are your thoughts on him, Tez? And what do you rank this as a transfer we could do?
I think so. I'm a fan of Tonali. I've liked Tonali from way before. He was at Brescia in 2019, and I remember playing Football Manager, then watching Serie A, and was like, "Who's this guy? I think he's quality." He seemed a little bit more intense and a little bit bigger and more physical, and someone who was passing the ball a bit more crisp than anyone else. And then he moved to AC Milan, and they tried to play him like a 6, sitting deep, and thought he was Pirlo, and that's not his game. My issue with Tonali is a bit similar to what you said about some of the other midfielders. If he's the marquee signing in midfield, I do think then, we need a bit more, because I think why Anderson has the up on Tonali is I think he's got more of a passing, exactly what Shane said.
Yeah, I saw that as soon as I saw Shane put that in.
Someone who can pass the ball a bit more, and I think Tonali's really good at running with and without the ball. Yes, he's aggressive, he'll cover ground, but there's going to be games where, like against Leeds, where there's no space, and we just need someone who can just pass it through the lines and break the opposition.
Yeah,
I like Tonali. Again, he's been linked with City a lot. Apparently he spoke to Arsenal's camp. So again, is it a smokescreen? Is it just a thing of he's kind of available but only for a good price? I'm not sure. I think the club are looking at him, but now that you say that, I do actually think it is maybe a little bit of a smokescreen. But I would still, I'm thinking C, but I'm thinking like a high C, so maybe B. But I'm not sure. I'll let you kind of.
Yeah, I'm going. I'm I'm going to go B, and I'm going to go a high B. I really am, because and the reason I say that is because we've got to talk about Anderson shortly, which we will do. Anderson is obviously the one that they want. We know. I mean, it's the worst kept secret. I mean, Nottingham Forest, man, they must be sat there rubbing their hands together as long as they haven't got a release clause, because they know that with Elliot Anderson, they are going to get whatever the hell they want money for him. Because if United say, well, we ain't paying more than 90, and City go, well, we'll pay 100, bang, there's money. Tonali, for me, I think there's a high chance. I think, especially now he's not going to the World Cup with Italy, United can take their time with this as well. So it's not a case of, if he was going to the World Cup, I think United would have looked at it earlier on and said, look, what do we need to do to make this move work? I think there's a high chance. I think it's interesting because even if we get Elliot Anderson, and we'll go to that Anderson next, actually, even if we get Anderson, for me, the midfield's going to change drastically anyway for United from what we've seen. Casemiro, Uncle Cass, hasn't got the pace to run up and run down and run up and run down. I do rate his games. Every game he plays, I rate it on two things: his attacking sense, because we know what he can do in the box; also his defensive sense, because we know that he's a destroyer. But I would go a high B, Tez. I really would.
Okay, yeah, I can agree.
We'll come on to him. Elliot Anderson. I mean, like, this is the dream. This is like, this is waiting up Christmas Christmas Eve, sort of getting the presents and shaking them and going, is that the PS5? Is it the new FIFA? Is it the new football? Is it the new football manager? This guy's the dream, isn't he?
Yeah, I would agree. So I think I was a fan of Anderson from last season. Actually, when I saw him, I was like, oh. Because it was funny, because he's a little bit like Alex Scott, where he came through and he's playing more of a 10. Sometimes he kind of played on the left at times as well, and then he moved deeper, and he's just an all-action midfielder. Sometimes, he can be a bit forceful with what he does, but I think his engine, he's the type of player that's got personality, but you think even if he moves to a bigger team, he will put his foot on the ball and try and get on the ball, especially how he slotted in for England. And they just said he's going to be the one who's helping the build-up, and Rice is going to be the one getting up and down. It shows that other managers at higher level also see his ability. I think Simon there said he won't come, he'll be City-bound. I think it'd be interesting, the City thing. That is the only thing that is kind of probably making me think, oh, I don't know. Because if he goes to City, yes, they've said Bernardo will leave, and they'll probably let Kovacic go. They have been linked with quite a few midfielders. They've been linked with Tonali. They've been linked with Ibrahim Maza as well from Leverkusen, and they've also been linked with Einkard, the 16-year-old. So I'm thinking City are looking for a couple midfielders. That's big shoes to fill, because if you're saying he's going to be the one to do what Bernardo does, he can do it in a sense, but we saw. I'm not saying it'll be like this, but you saw Calvin Phillips go there and fall away. Kovacic has gone there. He plays now and again, but doesn't play. Nico Gonzalez doesn't even play, and I think he's been really good. He's literally a backup to Rodri. So the idea of you might, in 6-8 months, not be playing because you're a backup to someone else who's been there prior could be realistic. You've even seen Grealish. Grealish went in as a starter and stuff, and now he's at Everton. So sometimes for those bigger English, British players going to City, it doesn't really work out. And I saw something before. Forest said they want him being Anderson, to command a world record fee for the Premier League. So you're talking about, was that 120 million or something?
I think it's 140. Yeah, because I mean,
is Enzo the highest, or is it right?
It might be. Isaac was 125.
No, sorry, just for midfielders.
Oh, midfield. Yeah, it was Enzo. Yeah. It's Enzo. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're talking in and around 120, and I just don't think any midfielder is worth it unless you're gonna. I don't think there's a name. Maybe Bellingham, just because I think Bellingham is gonna add goals as well as doing everything. But even still, I don't think there's a midfielder out there where I can. If United had 120 million, because I think if you've got 120 million to spend on a midfielder, then you may as well just try and spend 120 million and sign like Elise, or do you know what I mean? Like, just be audacious and try and sign a superstar. If it doesn't work, at least you've tried it. But I think it's an A. I think the club have tracked him. I think that's the number one guy. I think the issue will be wages as well. I don't think the club wants to give mega wages anymore. I think there's definitely a spot there if Bernardo's going to say, well, we can probably give you 250k a year. Yeah. I don't think United will want to do that. They might do.
I just want it to be like a plaster. Like if he's going to City, just go like as soon as the season's finished, just go.
Yeah.
Play with my emotions. Don't you dare go to the fucking World Cup and have a blinder and then have me sitting there going, oh, it might happen, only for him to go to City. Like just tell us straight away. Do you know what I mean? It's like sort of meeting the girl of your dreams and thinking, I ain't got a chance here. And she keeps hanging on, and then you go, just tell me. And then after like 6-7 weeks, they go, nah, not interested.
I think that's the thing with most of the midfielders that we're linked with, that because a lot of them are going to the World Cup, but some teams are in like financial issues. United are in this weird position where they can go, we might be able to sign him now, end of June. But then what happens is another midfielder on the radar is then available end of July, and you're like, I've just spent the budget on that one. So it depends whether, because I actually think if United went to Brighton and brokered the deal, Baleba could join before the World Cup.
Yeah.
He's not going to the World Cup, but he could join in that time period. And maybe the same with a Wharton or a Tonali as well.
Yeah.
But then you might miss out on someone else. So, yeah, it's a difficult one.
It's harsh. Chappie says there could be some hidden gems who shine at the World Cup. Just follow Tez. He'll have them all. He'll have them all already. Honestly,
signing players off an international tournament is a no-no as well.
One word for you, mate. Cleberson.
Unless they've been good beforehand.
I remember us signing Cleberson and going, we've got a talent here. Oh my God, he was fucking woeful. Couple more left, then we'll bash through these ones. So, Indai at Everton. Interesting character, this one, because I think he's someone that has grown, and I actually think he's been a massive beneficiary of David Moyes being at the club. I think David Moyes knows how to use this lad very well. Now, he's not going to cost astronomical money when you look at the players that we are linked with. I think for his age and I think the position he is, I got to say, Tez, I really like him. I really like him. I think he's got the ability to do the unexpected. I wouldn't go. I remember against United, he wasn't great in the game. We beat him 1-0, but I'd never go off that. I don't understand when people say, I'm going to watch him because he's playing United, and if he's crap, well, you've got to watch the whole thing. And I mean, he's been in an Everton side that's built up to be very workmanlike, and let's be honest, exactly what Moyes does. That's his ethos in a club. I think he's shone really well this season. I think there was a worry that when they got Grealish, he'd sort of be pushed down the pecking order. And if anything, he stood up and be counted for. So I really like him. And I actually think this is a transfer United, if it's there, I think would go for. I think they would push for. We go to that whole Premier League experience. Bloody elbow. We go to, that's not a ghost, that's my cat. We talk about players that have that Premier League experience. He's definitely one that ticks the box there.
Yeah, I would agree. I think with Injai, the only thing is it's another Cunha and Buemo 26, 25, 27 on not a massive contract, but on a contract that like he's here for the next 4 years, which is fine. I think what I've seen some fans say is like, we've already got 2 of those guys where we've got from the best of the rest of the Prem, and they're getting 8, 9, 10 goals maximum. Are we going to get another one? And I think because of the left wing market, the top left wingers are at the best clubs.
Yeah, they're already there. They're already established.
And we don't have the money to do that because you've got other needs, and they won't leave anyway. The other left wingers are young and upcoming, and we'll be in a situation where you either get a really talented young one like Diomande, or you get a more left field one who's maybe going to cost less than half that, but then they're going to be rotated in and out, and you have a similar position where Cunha one game, Dogu one game, the young guy. At least with Njai, even though he's not playing well, what you can expect from him, work rate, output, and stuff. With some of the younger players, you don't know that yet. I like him. I think he's good. I think he's similar to Ahmad in the sense of like ball to feet, but he makes the ball stick, and other players can run off him. And he played the first half of the season on the right as well. So
exactly,
like he plays both sides. If you can get him 50-60 million, I'm more of the, if you can get him 50-60 million at 26, decent contract over 100 million or 85 million for Diomande and take that risk. I think you know what you're getting. At least then you've got 3 or 4 solid pros. So
agreed.
I don't know. I know the club has looked at him, but I just don't know whether he's high on priority because he's in that middling. He's not like a standout. How about you? I know you said you like him.
I think you're spot on, mate. I think everything you said there is spot on. I think, especially with more football, you want a club a squad that can rotate, and you want players that will come in and do a good job, and he can play across that front three. Essentially, not going to play as a 10, but he can play either wing. Very adaptable. Does a good job on both sides of the pitch. So. I think this is one. If it's there and like you said, if it's sort of around the 50 million mark, I think United would be interested. The other thing I will say, we haven't, obviously we're not mentioning the kids too much, but does signing these sort of players hamper like a JJ Gabriel, like a Shea Lacey? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. Yes and no, but I think that's why I'm almost more. I'm more for signing a 26, 27-year-old because Shea Lacey's just turned 21. JJ Gabriel he's like 15 or 16.
Still
15, like 3.5 years before he's even because he's still quite slight. He's not like, he doesn't look like Max Dalman's not massive, but he seems like he can hold himself. I don't know whether JJ can. There's even Noah Ajayi who's been coming through as well. So I think if you get a 26, 27-year-old, then if that 26, 27-year-old is now 30 and then the 18-year-old is now 21, you can still sell that 30-year-old. They've done their bit and you've got this new 21-year-old. Whereas if you go and get a Diomande at 21, he's not even 21, he's 19, a 19-year-old for massive money, then you're probably then looking at Amado and Bremo in 2 seasons. Probably one of them has to go. So I think if the player is good enough, they're going to make it. Max Down.
Yeah, I agree.
Maino was good enough. Rashford was good enough. It didn't matter that we had other players in their position. They're going to be a part of it. Downman's good enough. So if they're good enough, they'll play.
I'm putting him at a high C here. But it's your call, this one. What are you saying?
No, I'd agree with the C. I think the club are looking at him, but again, it's just down to for them to go for Njai, it's like we've got 2 midfielders first, and then we'll get Njai.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say C as well.
Second to last one is I'll be honest with you, I've been campaigning for this lad for years. I love him. I don't know if it's because we share the same second name or what, but I really like him. I remember, sort of back in the day when he was at Wigan, wasn't he? And he had the deadline day move to AC Milan that went wrong, didn't it? Was it due to I think it was it a heart condition or something like that? I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, something was found and then it was overturned, but yeah.
I like him, and I think Anthony Robinson at his age, I think he's probably at an age where he wants that big move. I think he's been decent. I think he's been better than decent for Fulham. To be fair, there's obviously flaws in his game, but there's going to be when you're playing for a Fulham. But when we look at how much money we have available, this lad's available apparently for sort of 20, 30 million. I really rate him.
How old is he now?
I think he's 26. Is he 27? 26, 27?
Let's see. Because that will determine how. Oh, he's 28 actually.
Is he 28?
Yeah. 28 and he'll be 29 in August.
Oh, he's broke my heart. He's broke a collective of you and him, mate. You've just broke my heart. Brilliant.
I do like him. I think this season he hasn't played as much. He did have like a bit of a knee injury and it stopped him for a while. And he hasn't been able to find like his form or his place back in the team as consistent. I do think it's one of them. It's funny because I think if we could trust Dorgu a little bit more to maybe say you're going to be the left back and then Robinson's going to play in certain games, I'd say yeah, because a 28, 29-year-old for 25 million on a decent contract for 2-3 years, whilst maybe you loan out Amas and Leon and Dorgu's developing, and maybe you let go of Shaw, fine. Because he gets up and down, he's got a good cross. He's even played wing back for quite a while as well. So but yeah, our left back situation is so strange. It's just Luke Shaw is the blocker. It's the biggest blocker. He's got 1 year left in 2027, but I don't think the club will want to let him go. I think he's respected around the club. He's seen as like a leader and stuff, but it's just his output. He can't get up and down, and he's just a liability sometimes. So if we could get rid of him, and then kind of if we could get rid of Shaw, then it makes things a lot easier because you go, Dorgu's going to be one that will play left back, left wing, but we need someone who's going to start all the time. But I think I'm around D. I think D.
I am now because you've just told me how old he is. You've just killed me live on YouTube, mate. you've just killed me with that live on YouTube. I've been campaigning for this lad for so long because I've always sort of appreciated the player he is. But yeah, no, I think you're right with the Luke Shaw thing. It wouldn't surprise me we start next season with Luke Shaw at left back, and it shouldn't be that way. It really shouldn't. Harry Amas obviously did well on loan at Sheffield Wednesday at the start of the season, regardless of the peril that they're in. He was getting very good, reports back, and his attacking contribution was good. He was bombing up the field. I just worry with the left back situation. I'm more worried about the left back than I am the right back, and I'm not a fan of Dallo, and I thought Mazraoui was appalling on Monday. Okay. Well, look, we'll finish it with the forgotten guy. And look, after Barcelona were rather unceremoniously dumped out of the Champions League, the report started. I've been talking about this for about 3 weeks now because I've just had this niggling feeling that Barcelona don't want to pay the money, and it seemingly appears that the Barca fans have started to turn on him as well. I think if they win the Champions League, I think they embrace him. They want him. They probably try and swindle and pay the money, whatever. But I've got this feeling with the reports coming out today, Tez, that he could be back at if Carrick's named the manager, I think he could be back next season. And as the weeks have gone up, I've gone from no chance to D to C. Now I'm in between A and B. I really am. Yeah. I think there's a legitimate chance that Marcus Rashford comes back to Manchester United and stays next season.
The only thing about Rashford is whether he wants to play for the club or not. I think if he accepts how he's been played at Barca in terms of you might not be the number one starter, but when there's games you will start. Yeah, and he can. I don't want to say repair the kind of relationship with the fans, but if the fans can get on board, because I think a lot of fans still have this idea of Rashford's this 23. I think I said it last time. This 23. Yeah. He's not, and he's good sometimes, and he's not good sometimes. But I think Rashford in his latter years did not play with good players.
No.
And you think the team now, and you think Rashford would probably love to play with Cunha. I think them two, how we play with Martial, I think he'd probably love that. And he maybe doesn't have to be the one always busting the gut getting in because you got Mbeumo who does that, and maybe there's games where you think Sesko's not doing it. Do we need a different 9 up front who can?
So glad you said that, Tez, because that's where my thinking is. I don't think he comes back. People are saying, "Oh, he'll come back and fight for the left." I think he'd come back and I think he'd play through the middle.
Yeah, and I think especially if Carrick was the manager, Carrick would back that. I think Carrick has the thing of like Maino, the young lads who have been there, done it.
Yeah.
And certain games you'll just go, you know what, we'll just classic away, put 3 midfielders in there. We'll go Rashford, we'll go Mbeumo and Cunha or whoever, pace on the counter attack. And like I know Simon's saying just sell him, but it's not as easy as that. He's on massive wages. He's got 3 years left in his contract. Who's going to buy him? Who's going to spend 20 million, 25 million? And there's only 5 teams. Rashford in his head is wherever you think of him. He's still at a level where he's going to command interest. So there's only probably 5 games in his 5 games, 5 teams in his head where he thinks, yeah, I'll go to them, and even if I don't start, it's fine. Bayern Munich could be one, Real Madrid, Barcelona, maybe Atleti. And I don't even know whether there's teams in Italy because he'd probably say I'm going to start and play every week.
Yeah.
And I don't see him going to another English team unless it was like a Villa again.
Yeah.
But Villa's probably the only one because he
can't afford him, though, can they? I mean,
yeah. And he'd have to. He want to play Champions League and whatnot. So, I just think it sends the wrong message from what the board are trying to do in terms of getting big wages off, and there's no guarantee that Rashford will have that adaptability where he's gone to Barcelona and he's gone like, okay, Rafinha's like your captain or vice captain. If I don't play, it's fine. But I get to play with Yamal and I'm at Barcelona.
Yeah.
So I'd say C. I'll say in the middle.
Oh God. I mean, like, oh God. Do you know what? It's not even through, like, honestly, Tez, it's not through a footballing decision. It's genuinely, I've just got this niggling feeling. You know, when you leave the house and you think, I've left the cooker on, or I've left the washing machine, or I've left the tumble dryer running. It's that feeling in my bones that I just think we talk about needing a striker next season. If Carrick's in charge, and you know what, so many of the ex-pros are sort of pushing for it as well. Like, so many of the ex-pros are saying, just bring Rashford back, and it's like, everything you say there is spot on. Like, the wages, 375 grand a week. We're trying to get that down at the moment. And do you know what? To their credit, the club have done a very good job in doing that. I've got this feeling, mate. I've got this feeling that next season you see Rashford leading the line instead of Sesko in some games. Champions League as well. I think the club would if the club were interested and wanted him to do it, and apparently, again, some reports, Simon Stone reported today that there's reports that Rashford is interested if it's for the right reasons, and the club are interested for the right reasons. I just feel like it could happen if Carrick stays in charge. I think Carrick gets his arm around him and says, come on, you've played under me before. I've been part of the coaching setup where you were put on a pedestal where we absolutely adored you, Ollie, me and Kieran McKenna, we put our faith in you. The flip side of it is, and I said this when we were together last time, it's simple. If Rashford doesn't hit the ground running back at United, the fans turn straight away. And the fans come and say, oh, his heart was never in it. He's only back here because Barca didn't pay the money. I think the realistic thing, the right thing to do would be to set him free and to sell him. But this is Manchester United, Tez, and we do silly things, So I'm oh God. Do you know what? I had the last one, so I'm gonna put him high C. I'm gonna put him high. This is the highest C I could ever. This is, if B wasn't a thing, it would be a CA. I just have that worry that he comes back. But look, I mean, mate, we've got through a pretty quite a few there. I mean, the transfers, I don't think we're a million miles off as to where United would be looking with those transfers, be it this season and next. I don't think we've been unrealistic. I see some fan channels that are still harping on about, Vinicius Jr.
just ridiculous stuff. Yeah,
it's just bonkers. Simon says he's already got rid of his Rashford shirt. Bloody hell! There's a lot of distaste for him. Chappie says, "Bring him home, turn the other cheek." I mean, look, Rashford. Just to quickly finish on this, Rashford went because he fell out with Amorim. Amorim was quite disrespectful when he came out and said about his training, and
I think he also fell. I think he just fell out of love of playing for United, and I think it was more than just Amorim. I think it was the whole. I think it was like, you know, when Rooney was like, "Where's the club going? Who are we signing?"
Oh, when we nearly went to Chelsea, I remember that when he said, "Yeah,"
and he got a new contract. I think it's more so that, but I think for Rashford, it's so personal because like United's his club and he's come through the dream, really. 16-year-old making his debut, scoring a hat-trick and on his international under-20 on debut, scoring a debut, full senior, just everything you can think of. And I think the idea of Rashford in people's head was like he could go on to be one of the best ever. Agreed. I don't ever think he's been that good. And I think he's suffered from that because people think he should be up here when really he's just a good player who's better than the majority. And the only saving grace that he might have is if he's at United and he's not doing well, we've got better quality around him.
Yeah.
But I do think the fans, if he's not doing well, then I don't think they'll give him grace, which is harsh because of all the things he's done.
Can I ask you a question to close before I let you go? If Sir Alex Ferguson was still in charge, what would have happened with Rashford?
I think he goes before it spirals out.
Yeah?
I think Sir Alex looks at that and goes, you know what, this guy in a year or so, I think because Sir Alex, to his latter years, he wasn't as good as like replacing players, but I think because when like Van Nistelrooy left, I was like devastated. And then I was like, I see the vision now because of what we have. And I think Rashford would have been similar to that. It would have been like, get rid of him and let's bring in someone else who can fill the void. I think United haven't done well with protecting our own. I think too many of the players have just been left to the wayside, and that's part of the reason why Rashford is wanting to leave. Like 400 plus appearances for your boyhood club, and you know we're on a slight upward trajectory. He's 28 or something. He's like, it's not like
where's that come from?
So I would
You just give me like haunting feelings there, about the Van Nistelrooy one, because I remember that summer we sold Van Nistelrooy and then it was like, then Ronaldo did what he did to Rooney, and I was like, oh my God, we're about to lose two. We've just lost two stunners here.
On the last thing on Rashford, I think it's a funny one. I would take him back if it means there's more budget to sign better midfielders.
That's where I am. That's where I am.
Take a risk for a year, and even if Rashford is sulking and stuff, if the team's doing well, there's no way he's just going to allow himself to be here back. And he's like, Cunha's doing well and Ahmad's doing well. And I think he snaps out of it. I think all the other players now say, like, this is a team now. I think we've got rid of some of the other characters. And
look, it might be the boyhood, the Roy the Rovers stuff. He might come back and lead us to a cup, and you'd go, bloody hell, well, hang on a minute. All is forgiven. Football's a fickle sport, mate. Unless you like some of the real wrong-uns in the game that we won't mention. Football's a fickle sport. If he comes back and bangs 20 goals in a season, then you'd be like, all is forgiven. But look, Tez, obviously, I thought we'd do this in an hour, and then we got into the conversation of these players, and it went rolling. But look, mate, I really appreciate your time again tonight. As I say, it's always a pleasure having you on. Let people know where they can find you, bud.
Mainly X at the moment, but my @Tezski is the same for everything. Like, my name's Tezza, but Tezski on X mainly, where I put football stuff, and I will start to try and push TikTok a bit more. But I'm on other people's shows, so I don't push my own stuff as much.
Legend, mate. Absolute legend. Guys, we'll leave it there. Look, if you haven't already, make sure you smash a like. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Do you agree with the list? Have we got this? We may have got this horrifically wrong in your eyes, or you might look and go, do you know what? They might be on something here. One thing's for sure, this summer is going to be insane. We're going to be here all the way through it. I'll definitely be getting Tez back on to give me some updates, because I have a feeling that we're going to be linked with some players that I'm going to message him and say, I never heard of this kid, and he's going to go, well, actually, I'll tell you something about this kid. But thanks very much for sticking around, guys. And as I always say, pain is temporary, but class is permanent. Dan United in Tezza. Oota!